Greetings, beloved. Welcome to another presentation. We are right here in the Zambezi region. I must say that subsistence farming is almost a cultural thing here. Almost every household does that. And I must say that our soil is quite fertile, and most of the time we don't even add manure at all to the soil. We just plant and then remove the weeds. Once the crops grow or germinate, we remove the weeds, and then it rains, and then we wait for harvest. That's basically what we do, without having to apply any artificial fertilizer or even apply manure. So that's just how fertile the soil of this region is. And beloved, as you can see from the background, the stalks of maize. And of course, this was promising to be a bumper harvest. But unfortunately, this year is a different one, because for almost a month, more than 4 weeks I think, it has not rained in this field. What does that mean? Beloved, make an experiment. If you have, a backyard garden, whatever it is that you have planted that is growing, take a month without watering it. You know obviously what will happen is that whatever it is that you have in your backyard will obviously run dry. And this is actually about to happen to this field. It is not an exception. This is actually happening across the entire region. That is how serious it is. If you talk to any farmer, anybody that has planted something this year, they will tell you that they are not expecting to reap anything from their efforts. And beloved, that is a painful situation. It is a difficult period that is ahead of the people of this region. Because you need to know one thing about the Zambezi region, that people rely on maize so much. Maize meal is actually our staple food. It's two things. Most of the farmers here subsist on what they plant. So after harvest, they keep it, and then that's what they will feed on to pull them through the entire year. And of course, some of them, they sell what they have produced, and then they use money, to either buy whatever they need in their households, and also to support, their children, especially those that are in high schools and university. So, as I have said, plowing, cultivating is part of our culture. Now, I have mentioned a few things about our soil, that our soil is very fertile, and I believe without a shadow of doubt that the Zambezi region has so much potential that has not been tapped in fully, because I believe this region is able to feed the entire nation. When it comes to agriculture, we can really do that. If it's growing crops, I believe almost anything can grow here. At Kalimbeza, the rice project, probably you are aware of it or you have heard about it. That project actually surprised everyone because it really went well and the rice was actually good. But for some reason, that project has stopped. I think last year I passed by Kalimbeza, and then I saw that all the irrigation systems are actually still there in the river, in the Zambezi River. But the project has stopped. It makes one wonder really. Why is it that even the government is not taking agriculture serious, more especially in this region? Because, there is almost everything to tell you that this region has a potential to be that food basket for the entire nation, to feed the entire nation. There is potential here. But unfortunately, beloved, the government is not investing as much at all. The Minister of Agriculture, I'm not sure how they are doing their research, but they are not investing fully in the Zambezi region when it comes to crop production or growing crops. I can't mention a single farm that is run by the government, and we have open spaces of land that is very fertile and access to water. The Zambezi region is here. and we can draw water from there and water these vast amounts of land. Not only that, when it comes to drilling, our underground water is not so far underneath because of the Zambezi region. So once you get to about 20 meters underground, you have already reached the water table. So drilling boreholes is actually ideal as well in those areas that are far away from the river. But beloved, it's unfortunate that these things are not being done. Why am I focusing on this? You know, I'm looking at this field that is behind me, and all these stalks of maize will run dry. Obviously, we are going to allow our livestock, our cattle, to feed on these maize. That means it's a waste, beloved. That means a household that had hops in this field will end up having to find another way to make a living. And I want to tell you that, the rate of unemployment is very high. And, fields like this, crops like this really make a difference in most of the places that I know of in this region. What am I trying to say? In as much as we have fertile land, that fertile land cannot do much without water. We have no control on what happens in the sky. We have no control over the rain. And as we have seen now this year, that people have planted, but the rain is not coming forth. Okay? So the seeds grew, it reached this stage, and then the rain stopped. Meaning everything else goes to waste. And this will be a famine. It's a drought season for this region. Now, to avoid this, I want to appeal and call on the government to really do their research, to do their study, to invest in the Zambezi region, more especially helping communities with access to water. It can be underground water, which is very much possible because the water table is not that far away. And also the areas that are closer to the Zambezi region. Let us have serious farms there that are run by the government. Let us have green schemes to ensure that, food is not an issue. We rely so much on South Africa for almost everything. And I believe almost anything that we are getting from SA, we can grow it right here in the Zambezi region. Almost anything. If we need the expertise, let us get the South Africans. Let them come here and teach us how to do it. But from what I have seen here is that people are not lazy. People are able to cultivate. They really want to do something, as you can see from what is behind me. And this is the story of almost every farmer in the region. They really want to cultivate, to grow their own food, but the issue is water. They cannot afford to drill boreholes on their own, to put, solar panels on there, and also a water pump, and put all these irrigation systems, sprinklers, to ensure that their fields are well watered. They do not have the resources. But I believe that the Minister of Agriculture can do better and invest in these farmers, in these households, to ensure that those who are able can actually grow their own crops and water them, and therefore survive on that. Beloved, we have the potential not only to feed the entire nation, but to feed our neighboring countries as well. But this is not happening. This is not happening. If we have learned anything from COVID-19, I thought the government of Namibia, the Republic of Namibia, would switch its focus and make sure that all the regions that have a potential in agriculture, they invest in that so that we produce our own food. So that when our borders are closed, we can still survive. That's my call on the government. Let's invest, beloved, in agriculture. Water. We need access to water. Drill boreholes for household. Pull water from the Zambezi River. And let us have farms that are run by the government. It will create employment, for many young people that are jobless today. And also, it will feed the entire nation. And I believe we need this kind of projects. People are in abject poverty. Living in the city, you see people who are eating from dustbins. And all these things can be avoided if only we do a good job in agriculture. Let me also touch on the church, the Seventh-day Adventist Church. The Seventh-day Adventist Church believes in a health message. A health message, we actually say, is the right hand, of the three angels message. So we don't only talk about the second coming of Christ, but we also believe while we are still on earth, we must be productive. We have to till the ground. In fact, God tells Adam that, he will eat, from the ground. He will have to sweat. He will have to plant. He will have to till the ground and eat from there. So it's a biblical concept. So for me, it's embarrassing that as a church, we still do not have a farm that is functional. As a church, we do not have a functional farm. And we should not remain comfortable with this. Let us not be shy about it. The church is not doing anything when it comes to agriculture. Yes, you can say what you want, but the truth remains. We are not doing much. Let us have a farm that we run as a church. Let's produce food so our members can buy healthy food that is being produced locally by our own SDA church. Most of the stuff that we find in shop, most of it is not even healthy because we don't know who's producing this food. We don't know what they are adding to the soil, the type of water they are using. So when we produce our own food and we preach about the health message, then we are doing what is right because we know what we are feeding our own people. And to a greater extent, if the church starts with this, many of our members will learn the basic skills that we actually need for us to produce our own food. There is no way we can stay away from food production as a church. We need to grow food and we need to change our mindset. It will also bring income to the church. It is beneficial in every way. We get young people in the church who are jobless, who are trying to make a living. What do we tell them? We just pray for them, encourage them and all that. But if we are running projects like farms, we are into farming, regardless of what scale, we can employ those young people in those fields. And this is biblical. And it will be helpful and it will improve our standard of living as individuals, as a church, and also as a nation. So, beloved, it's about time we think outside the box. Because what is happening in the Zambezi region, and let me say this, when I came here, I came by bus, okay? So I was talking to a brother who was going to Malawi. And then he tells me that this drought is actually not only in Namibia. It's the same situation in Zambia and also the same situation in Malawi where he was actually going. So they have also not received enough rain. So beloved, if we fell at the government level or at the church level, as individuals, those who can afford, you have seen what has actually happened or what is happening to your field as you listen to this message. It is about time that we invest not only in clearing the land, but also in digging boreholes, putting a water pump there, solar systems, and also irrigation systems, sprinklers. Let's make sure whether it's, drip irrigation, let's invest in that. It is way much better to plow, a hectare that you can water and you are so sure that you will get everything from that hectare, rather than clearing 20 hectares without an irrigation system, and then it doesn't rain and you lose everything. So let's change our direction. In the past, our forefathers things worked well for them, because almost every time, rain would come on time, their crops would grow well, they would harvest and all that. But we can see now that things are changing, beloved. And we also need to change the way we do our farming. So this is just to encourage us that let's look at investing in water. Let us have water on our properties, water on our farms, in our fields, to ensure that we can water our own crops. You see, because there is no irrigation system here, these maize cobs that you see here, in 2 weeks' time, they will all be dry. And it is just, the energy and the time, the clearing of land that we wasted here. There is nothing we can do because there's no irrigation system. So I hope the message is clear. May God help us. I'm also praying and trying by all means to ensure that I invest in a borehole, have some solar panels and a water pump to ensure that I can water my own crops. That's a lesson for me. But, my desire is that on government level, church level, individual level, let us look more into the agricultural aspect, of growing crops, and to ensure that, we invest in this area, because it will really transform almost everything. Right now, if you walk around, you can see despair on almost everyone's face because of the rains that did not come. And I don't know if I'll have an opportunity to show you what is actually happening in town itself, which is already a sign. We are just in March, but already we can see that there will be a crisis, because the price of maize meal is shooting up. In fact, maize meal right now is running out in Nokamunu Hosa. That's where most of the communities, individuals here get their maize meal. And this is about to run out. And I hope I'll get an opportunity to just record a bit and just to show you a clip of what is actually happening. Things that we used to hear of in Zimbabwe, in other, nations, it is actually now happening here. Famine is on the horizon. Drought is actually what we are expecting. And I don't know how we are going to survive this, but it's only God that knows. But the knowledge that He has given us is that let us invest in agriculture. Let us be self-sustaining. We need self-sustaining homes. Let us be able to water our own fields. Small as it is, if you are able to water it, you are rest assured that you are going to reap what you have planted. Other than this way of farming, whereby you are looking up for rain and then the rain doesn't come. I hope someone from the government has listened to this, and they will push the aspect of investing in agriculture, more especially in those regions that have fertile soil, like the Zambezi region. I know, the government has tried in the Kavango region. There's a lot of green schemes there, but we don't see a lot of that in the Zambezi region. In fact, there is none. And may we also revive the rice project, the Kalimbeza rice project. We need such projects to continue and to feed our people. May the good Lord be with you as we look at this aspect and element which is quite crucial, because we need food. We cannot run away from it. May you be blessed, beloved. We continue to pray for the Zambezi region, and also to ensure that the Lord provides a way and makes a way for those who want to invest, in agriculture, and also to invest in boreholes to ensure that our crops are well irrigated. Okay. May God be with us and bless us as we contemplate on this message.